Hello, my name is Karl Helfer. Today I'm going to be showing you my more design solution to the battery overheating problem. So here in state 0, I have these all labeled here. So temp's going to be T, start charging will be S, charge on will be C, and OT error will be E. In state 0, I'm saying the charge is off and the error is still 0. And as long as start charging is off, it's just going to repeat in this cycle, and anywhere else that start charging turns off, it'll come back to this cycle as long as it's not in state 6, which is the error state. So from here, let's say start charging's turned on and the temperature, and there is no temperature warning, it'll go into state 1 where it is charging with no error. And as long as it start charging stays on with the no temperature warning, it'll continue to stay in this state. But say right off the bat you turn on start charging and there's already a temperature warning, then it'll skip over to state 2, and I'll explain later what state 2 is. So if you're in state 1 and charging is on, error is off, if you have another temperature warning, it goes to state 2, which is another your your first temperature warning state. The first time you experience a temperature warning, that's from the first one as well. Here, as long as you continue to have a temperature warning, it'll stay here until it cools down. Once it cools down, it'll go to state 3. And in state 3, it'll start charging again, but the error still isn't on because we've only had one temperature warning so far. And it'll stay in this state charging. So right here, no temperature warning. As long as there's no temperature warning, it'll stay here charging. If it has another temperature warning, this will be the second one, it'll go to state 4, charging will turn off, there's still no error because there's only been 2 temperature warnings, and it'll stay in this state as long as the temperature warning still stays on. Once it cools down again and the temperature warning goes away, it'll go into state 5 where it's charging and there's no error, and it'll stay in state 5 as long as there is no temperature warning. And then throughout any of these states, if the start charging turns back off, it'll go back to the original. And then from state 5, once you're in here, you've had 2 temperature warnings. It has cooled down and now it's charging again. If you have another temperature warning, it'll go into state 6 where charging is off and the error is actually 1. So now these are just don't cares because it doesn't matter what the inputs are, it'll stay in the state. The only way you can get out of this state is with a manual reset, and a manual reset will bring you back to state 0. So I can kind of show you how that works with the timing diagram over here. So let's say first, let's just set our clock. We'll do something like, the period is 10. We'll just have that go the whole way. And we'll offset. Let's do our temperature. I'll count every 30. And then start charging. We'll have this as a 1 the whole time, except in the beginning, I won't start charging until about like halfway through. We won't start charging. And then I'll turn on my reset somewhere down here, kind of after the temperature has spiked 3 times. We'll reset it. Let's say we reset it in the middle of a temperature spike. So we'll reset it there, and then now we can run the functional simulation. We'll save those changes. Here we go. And then if we just zoom in a bit, if I can do that with one hand. It's quite hard. Okay, so go back here. As we can see, it's not the charge on, which is right here, and the error are both 0 the whole time. The first time it starts charging is as soon as start charging goes to 1. So now start charging has gone to 1, so it started to charge. The temperature, there is no temperature warning right now, so it's charging. As soon as there's a temperature warning though, it stops charging until the temperature goes away. It starts charging again. So this right here is the first temperature warning. After it cools down, it comes back on, starts charging again. And then after the second temperature warning, which is here, it stops charging again. Finally, it cools down for the second time and it starts charging again. But once we hit that third temperature warning, it cuts off completely for the rest of it and the error comes on. And no matter what these values are, it stays in there until we hit this reset right here. And as you can see, once we hit the reset, it's actually in the middle of a temperature warning. So it's technically already had its first temperature warning here. So the charge stays off, it's had its first temperature warning. Now it cools down for the first time and it starts charging. Then it has its second temperature warning, so it stops charging again. Then it cools down and it starts charging again. And then it has its third temperature warning here, and once again, charging goes to 0 for the rest of the time, and the error turns on for the rest of that. And that's how that works. So you can see the reset there trigger this to fix itself. And then the actual design would be this one, more design. Made logic blocks. Those are showed off in the PDF. If you look at those, you can see all those in detail, but then here's the actual design. And we have different flip-flop outputs. And actually, the charge on ended up being, you can see from the Karno maps, the charge on ended up equaling that, which is actually the same thing as the Q2 one. So see how those are both the same? There and there, the same equation. So that made it so you only needed one logic block, and then I just shared the output of that over to charge on. And that's it.